This is what's referred to as a false setup, because not every day on the job goes exactly the way as planned. For a vault man, we learn on days like today, and take accountability where necessary. This cemetery is incredibly sandy, and the headstone was undercut by the gravediggers, and I did not disperse the weight out far enough from the sides of the grave to keep it from collapsing. Even using longer boards to disperse the weight, this grave most likely would have still caved in. With no vault surrounding the grave, the sides were completely unstable, and the grave wall and the end all collapsed. By the grace of God, the headstone was not damaged in any way, shape, or form, and the grave could be dug back out so that I could set a false setup and then use a different method to place the vault in the grave after the service was concluded. In some cemeteries, the gravediggers use grave boxes, which sit down into the grave once it's dug, and if the walls collapse, the grave box keeps it from filling in the grave until we can get the vault down, and then it is removed and filled back in. For a false setup, I display the vault base alongside the tent and the lid angled towards where the family will be so they can see the personalization options that the family chose. During this ordeal, some of the paint got chipped, so I'm just going around and cleaning up the lid and then cleaning some of the excess concrete dust off the base. A routine task for us to do at the cemetery to make sure our product is clean. I can then add the decorative handles, the nameplate, the emblem, and the trademark. This vault is a bronze and copper Wilbert Continental. The Continental is the only burial vault that gets this style of decorative handles. The emblem was a crucifix, and the nameplate is color matched to the vault. Where we set up a false set depends on the cemetery. This grave location was at the top of the hillside, and we want to do what we can to keep the family away from the sides of the grave, so we set the false setup down at the bottom of the hill, directly below the grave. When the service has concluded, we will lower the casket by ropes into the bottom of the burial vault. We will then place the lid back on the vault and relocate the burial vault to the side of the grave where the boom can be extended and the vault lowered into the grave. Although the grave may have still caved in if I used longer boards, I still take responsibility for the fact that this graveside service was not held where the headstone is placed. In a perfect world, every family should be able to see the vault sealed and lowered right in the burial plot that the family chose. Accidents do happen. I'm grateful that this did not cave in while the family was around the grave, but with how long I've been doing this, I should have prepared for this situation better. All I could do was apologize to the family and promise them that I would take care of their loved one being placed into the grave after the service was done. There's always ways a vault man can do a better job.